Our dearest, beloved, divine friends and families in the raw, Arceus Guyana Free Media. Please, I repeat to you all over and over, my friends and families, please be safe. Please be careful. Our Guyanese people are so indisciplined and so uncooperative. And when they get arrested or are inconvenienced, they're quick to say, why only us and why not that one and that one and that one? I'm appealing to you, my people, all my peoples, all Guyanese, all ethnicities. We are one family. We are one Guyanese people. We are one nation. So what have I decided to speak to you this morning, afternoon, night, or in the middle of the day? It is the pandemic which is creating such a havoc in our nation. And now they're saying the second wave is coming. So what will happen? Are we, as a people of the world, are we to lay down and play dead? Are we to just give up? Or are we to try to live with this scourge that exists? I personally believe this is not an epidemic that was created by God. I don't believe it is an epidemic that came from nature. I believe, like many other epidemics, experimentations are being done by certain nations in what is called biological warfare. Either it is intentional or got out by accident, and many came out both ways. I've seen countries where they experiment on their own people, on Guatemalans, mostly on Africans. Africa is always the impasse, historically, of nations. Even though Africa has had some of the greatest civilizations, some of their own people abused the Africans. Coming down time with biological warfare, theft of the resources, so many nations have sucked the gold, the diamonds, the wealth, the copper, the tin, the human lives, made human cargo or flesh, used, abused. You know, for me, I find such things horrendous, but there are countries who need guinea pigs, so to say, to experiment with their instruments of death, warfare. We saw in Beirut recently, something strange happened, and they're trying to say it was fertilizer. But we know that there is a power in the area that does not want any of those countries, unless they become docile to that little country, will be put to the test of survival, will be put to the test of destruction. And the nations will not be allowed to raise even an iota. Every time they're about to raise, something will be done to destroy them. And also, their sponsors will try to destroy those strong, powerful nations of wealth and independence. Look at Iraq today, friends and families. Look what has been done to Iraq. That even those who destroyed it, they actually regret the dastardly act they did. Then that huge conspiracy with a few of the warlords internally of Libya. Look what they have done to Libya. They turned it into a wasteland, a land of barbarism, which is what they don't want to show these countries who can develop and grow in those areas. So this is why I think Beirut was targeted, attacked, wiped, destroyed by either the experimentation of a bomb, of a new kind of a bomb, or the most miniature of atomic bombs, to be experimented on the people, or to serve two purposes. One was to break the country economically, create mayhem and destruction because they must not get a chance to ever raise, and at the same time to experiment with their bomb. What a sad reality of human nature, that human beings would do such things to hurt each other. We see it politically, we have seen it here in our country, and if you disagree with some certain people, be it nations or be it politicians, they want to wipe you out. They want to decimate, they want to destroy, they want to completely eliminate you from the possibility of existence. Now, coming back to this article that I want to read that was published in the Guyana media by yours truly, I personally believe that this COVID-19 is a man-made thing, but we have got to live and fight it. So this is the article that was published in the media just a few days ago in Guyana. Mankind must adjust to living with COVID-19. So yes, friends and families, this article was published recently in the newspapers, and it's a very good article. I think it was the Chronicle that carried it. The other newspapers, which is good, and my friends generally, they can't see the importance sometimes of this, because I really think we have to live with this thing here. We can't isolate our countries. So let me read this article that was published, friends and families, and maybe you will want to share it. It will go on a watch party. Let me just try to share it with you. At this juncture, dear editor, I wish to inform the Guyanese populace, citizens of the world, and the leaders of Guyana and the rest of the world that COVID-19 appears to be here to stay. And sadly, it is going to be with us for a very long time. Like many other diseases such as the new, more potent, enhanced Ebola, I believe that COVID-19 was developed by man's hands to experiment with people who are less fortunate. In the same way, I believe that it was not a creation of God, but a man-made instrument of death to serve the intent of the few, usually the rich and the powerful. Subsequently, when these few people decide to release an antidote or vaccine, the cost of the world's country, particularly the poor, would be immense. Now, I wish to make a commentary here. Let us speak a bit of Ebola. The Ebola became like a common war killing machine. The old Ebola. I think we are at the third level now. Or definitely the second. And what they did, they realized any country have it and can have the antidote. So it has lost its effectiveness as a war killing machine of God's creation and citizens of the earth. So what they did, they created a new strain of Ebola. They have the vaccine made, and then they experimented in Africa. And in this case, in the Congo. So they experimented in the Congo with people dying wild. Strange enough, the most dynamic and brilliant African Ebola specialist and scientist he was experimenting and finding this vaccine. But he was allowed to be infected by the disease and to die. Strange enough, some volunteer nurses, Caucasian or white people, got it. They were wrapped up and specially flown back to various European and North American countries, and they were treated and they were healed. My contention here is that it was a human experimentation, and they have the vaccine, but they will not release it or the antidote unless they are satisfied. And then still they have not released the antidote. It's under heavy control. So Africa, my friends and families, has always been the bypass. But we saw it done in Guatemala. We saw them try with AIDS. The French did that. in Libya. And when Muammar Gaddafi arrested those people and sent them to so many years in jail according to their system, he was being forced to release them. And he had people who were trying to destroy him since then for trying to develop his country. So this is a problem of third world nations, unfortunately. That is why it is good for us to have a strong friend or two from Europe and North America to be or for us to be their ally, because we are so Lilliputian. And I'm talking about the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Now back to the article. The point of this advisory is therefore that civilization needs to adjust in order to survive in the future. We can no longer shut airports. We can no longer stop commerce. We can no longer stop manufacturing. We can no longer shut down hospitals and any form of human endeavor and enjoyment such as sports and cinema. We cannot shut down schools indefinitely. Life has to go on, friends and family. We have to keep on sanitizing ourselves and our environment and hope that this thing will go away in time, and which it will. The same we have to understand as a commentary on my article is that we need to have the face masks properly used, not to take it down to your neck, because you could have the coronavirus there and you pull it straight into your face, not to pull it on your forehead or you pull it down straight into your mouth and your nose and you get infected. There's a way to take it off, and I've taught you that many times. So it is proven that the mask is one of the few real instrument that could help us, like a kind of a vaccine. It becomes a vaccine by itself by using sunshine, which we have lots of here in Guyana. Exercise in it a bit, a half an hour or two, sit in it, and you will see, like the homeless people, you will not get the virus. So I think one of the reasons why I am so well protected is because I use the sunlight quite a bit, friends and families. So also, I give you some other messages about lemon, which I grow in my compound, lemon leaf, the lemongrass, the fever grass, the lime leaf, the donks, we call it, the mango leaves, the soursop leaves, the pomegranate leaves, and even some of the seeds boiled in a kind of a broth to produce this immunization to yourself, to build this immunity, friends and families. It's all about immunity. What you eat, how you use God's sunshine. There is no medicine. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, please put it in your pipe, smoke it, inhale hard, and do not exhale. And get that idea into your heads, our heads, me first, that we need to build immunity. And our local ordinary ingredients that we have here in Guyana, tropical countries, that these are the true COVID-19 boosters and busters. We cannot, no government, no country can ever sustain itself any longer. Even the richest country will start to run out of resources. Income tax will not be coming in, VAT will not be coming in, because the people just don't have money to pay or to buy. And many will try to survive on their own. And this is some of the ways to survive. I'm looking at the bees on my flowers here, friends and family. Look at some of the bees, if you can see them. Flying there and on their own, surviving, knowing where they came from, sending the messages to their colleagues, and they come and they take the nectar out of these flowers, and then they go make the honey, which is good for us. That is another good thing. Honey, so when you make your tea, your broth, you put some honey inside, or if not, raw sugar, molasses, or brown sugar. The darker the sugar, the darker it is, the more liquidy it is, the better the sugar. That is the true Demerara sugar. A lot of people don't know this. So friends and families, back to the article. The world cannot lay down and play dead. The airline industry, etc., cannot just be left to fragment and rot away. The world must be reopened for general trade and industry. Life must go on, albeit with COVID-19 protocols being adhered to. We must follow the rules. Those who don't understand protocols, the rules, the procedures, the systems. The sad part about this pandemic is the fact that it is a known reality that the world of people is essentially rebellious. They do not want to obey rules that may inconvenience them, if these rules may be beneficial to them. The COVID-19 protocols developed by various scientists, doctors, and scholars have a purpose and must therefore be complied with. Likewise, serious penalties shall be enacted for non-compliance. The discipline of sanitization, wearing your masks, and wearing them correctly, as well as adhering to social distancing and all, just as different kinds of medications and vaccines will help. These will help to prevent people from contracting this awful and deadly disease. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, there might be a little bit of disruptions because this is in the raw and there is no editing. My theory has always been to first develop your immunity with natural remedies, example, vegetables. One of the best food is vegetable, dark, leafy, like what we call the poi or the spinach, fresh if possible, grow in your own without much fertilizer, but you got to buy what you got to buy, right? So vegetables, fruit skins, and so on. The main ingredient of life is immunity. I just talked that in a commentary. And immunity does not arise from the excessive consumption of meat or its byproducts, but from vegetables, particularly dark leafy vegetable. I just explained that on my head in my commentary. Citrus products such as lemons, limes, oranges, lemongrass, fever grass, green mangoes, green and ripe tamarind, all of which can be eaten individually or made into a concoction. Concoction means you concoct, a concoction of a broth or a liquid. You put them together. You use your initiative and you concoct a brew, right? Many do not know that the skins of the green and ripe mangoes are consumable, as are the skins of other fruits and seeds, example, guinea seeds. It has all the ingredients of an entire tree, those seeds, ladies and gentlemen. So you could boil some of that in the broth, or chew it and spit it out, or swallow it, because the amount of minerals in there, all of which will build immunity. When the skin is consumed, it helps to beautify one's own skin. That's a scientific fact. Young mango leaves and a few bits of moringa or Sigen leaves, or its flowers, lime, lemon, or orange leaves are all COVID-19 busters. And if I might add, boosters of the immunity system, which are better than any medication or vaccine. Note that I have, not that I have anything against medications or vaccines, and who want to take it, please take it. But I am wary of some of the vaccines that may have been made to merely make money. As a humanist and a religionist, I'm concerned about human civilization. It hurts my heart to think that if man is not cautious, in future we might end up in utter turmoil and destruction of our civilization. Our norms and mores may be lost, and then we will fall into utter barbarism, where power and strength will allow the powerful to subdue the weak, to use them and take their properties. All kinds of evil could predominate. We may have warlords, gang wars, as civilization descends into destruction. And as we see this happening because of the destruction of Iraq and Libya, the warlords that are ruling in those areas and making life miserable with bombs and slavery and so forth. Do not get me wrong, I do not want this, and maybe it will never get there. But I have done enough reading, and I've been reflecting on history where humanity, through its own carelessness, has created human devastation. For example, the United States of America unleashed a nuclear bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan in 1945. Hundreds of thousands died. Diseases were rampant into the future. The sufferings took place. And the bombs, which were called Fat Boy, Fat Man and Little Boy, wreaked havoc by man's experimentation of the first and only nuclear bomb that was unleashed on human beings, so we can understand the devastation. And we move on. The First and Second World Wars brought about by Germany in an attempt to conquer and enslave the world. And the list goes on and on. Germany discovered some of the most potent, dangerous, and fantastic biological and other weapons of war, flying machines. Even was trying, ladies and gentlemen, to go to the stars and the moon and trying to enhance the energies in the universe that the Bhagavad Gita speak of, that is called Jiva. Back to the article. Unfortunately, in Guyana and several other countries around the world, the pandemic triggered not only an economic backlash, but also severe rise in criminal activities. Pre-deal larceny, theft of fruits, vegetables, poultry from neighbors is becoming rampant. Some of this is due to the utter laziness of some people who want to reap what they have not sown. Recently, we have seen some serious increases in crimes committed by youths and passers-by, pensioners, men and women going to work, and children riding their bicycles, to say the least. It is as if Guyana was falling into utter criminal madness. Unfortunately, for those who know, I have a grammatical mistake here, typo, as if Guyana were, should be Guyana was. Guyana is alone, so war is plural, goes for a plural noun. So a mistake here. If it is as if Guyana was falling into utter criminal madness, this I suppose is an article of its own for another issue of your newspapers. Yes, I have to deal with that. I dealt part 1 and part 2 already with youths in crime earlier in the year, but it seems I have to go now to part 3. It is my view that if this pandemic disappears, it will be as a result of hard work, sacrifice, experimentation, and lifestyle modifications, such as the masks and the immunity COVID-19 boosters or busters I'm talking about, made of vegetable and fruits. Back to the article. We have seen economies destroyed by COVID-19. Smaller nations and their economies are hanging by a thread, or what we in Guyanese parlance would say, hanging by the skin of your teeth. Major economies have provided financial assistance to their peoples to benefit them. Despite our substandard economy, I'm proud that we have seen aid rendered to disadvantaged communities with the distribution of large hampers. I'm even more proud that His Excellency Dr. Irfan Ali has declared an allowance of $25,000 per household. While some have claimed that this is not enough, begging my pardon, remember this is in the raw, ladies and gentlemen, and the sunshine is on me. I'm trying to get some COVID-19 booster from the sun. While some have claimed that this is not enough, and while this may be true, it is noteworthy to point out that the government made this gesture as soon as they got into office, which I think is quite admirable, which is quite admirable. And bear in mind that they took over broken, empty treasury, from which most was stolen, and people were getting their big kickbacks. Everything, for example, a tent I'm seeing was rented for $10.5 million. What kind of a madness is somebody getting their big kickbacks? That's why so many people are so upset, and they were doing so much of illegal things to try to stay into power and keep their friends into power. Back into the article. I'm going to put my neck on the block and say that I know once the government has settled As I get the last few paragraphs, ladies and gentlemen, please some patience. Once the country is settled and the country is economically stable again, they will provide more resources to assist families. I'm pretty sure of that. President Dr. Irfan Ali will do the best for all his people. And we must applaud him and appreciate him and his government. To the last paragraph now. However, at this juncture, humanity must face the reality that COVID-19 is here to stay and adjust to this new way of life with stricter precautions, trust in Almighty God, and consistent prayers. We will resolve this. I reiterate, humanity must adjust and learn to live with COVID-19. We must realize that our new normal is this. We must adjust, and this will last for a few years more. I thought it would have been gone by now. But let us use our free... Look, I'm perspiring, ladies and gentlemen, without exercising, and that is good. The sun is doing its thing, and my body is using its cholesterol, as you can, to convert our body fat with the radiation of the sun into COVID-19 booster vitamin D. Lots of vitamin D. Try to exercise, try to get sunshine, try to eat the kind of foods that will give you vitamin D, and try your best, ladies and gentlemen, to exercise, stay fit, eat and drink smart, and take care of yourself, your family, your country, and each other. Remember, some of us may be asymptomatic. Some say asymptomatic, because simply we might not be carriers, but we can have the disease. I repeat, we may not be carriers, but we can have the disease. And we could be spreading it, and this is one of the danger of it. Friends and family, your brother me, Haji, Dr. Ocean Khan, in the raw, RK's Guyana Free Media, saying thank you and farewell for sharing your time with me in love and dignity. My love and joy and peace to each and every one of you, my brothers and sisters of Guyana.